Ashes of the Last Dragon. Chapter 10. The Flight from Ferrowell. Cole stood in the narrow alley behind his home, heart hammering in his chest. Hours ago, only hours though it felt like a lifetime, he had returned with a cure for Lily, only to lose her anyway. The night pressed down, unusually dark, but he found he could see shapes in deep layers of black and blue. Walls that should have been hidden were highlighted in midnight tones, and even distant fence lines shimmered with a faint, ghostly edge. His dark vision showed him every narrow passage and shadowed doorway, letting him skirt around corners where moonlight would otherwise fail him. A faint clamor drifted from the village center, shouted voices, the crackle of torches, and fearful murmurs echoing between the timber-framed houses. Those eerie screams he'd heard earlier still rattled in his mind, mingling with Ms. Rosley's accusation-laden eyes. He steeled himself, scanning the darkness for movement. Townsfolk clutched at one another and formed ragged search parties, while others cowered behind bolted shutters. Every face seemed stricken with a dread that churned Cole's stomach. He crouched behind a stack of empty crates, pressing himself against the damp wood. A group of villagers passed by, their torchlight casting jittery patterns on the ground. He saw them clearly, even when their torches bobbed out of his line of sight. His vision made them stand out in swirling dark silhouettes. His pulse fluttered. He had never imagined seeing so clearly at night. Yet here he was, forced to rely on this eerie gift to remain hidden. Their voices carried in sharp bursts.
I heard someone was attacked.
By what?
No idea. Some foulness from the plague?
Stay together.
Cole swallowed. He couldn't forget the fleeting glimpses of Lily's final minutes, or Ms. Rosley's horrified expression upon finding her gone. Grief twisted inside him, every beat of his heart reminding him that he had failed. Then the dragon's voice coiled through his thoughts, low and decisive.
You cannot help them,
it murmured.
They will fear you more than any creature they cannot name.
He clenched his jaw, remembering how Ms. Rosley's face had hardened. Fear could turn reasonable people into a mob. If they thought he had harmed Lily. He tightened his grip on the small bundle under his arm, the urn wrapped in cloth, and forced himself to move on. Navigating Ferrowell under the cloak of night felt surreal. Streets he had walked countless times now glimmered in inky, shifting tones. Past festival days flashed through his mind, bright banners strung along these very lanes, Lily laughing as she tugged him from one booth to another, the smell of roasted apples mingling with the clang of blacksmith hammers. His father had once sold crafted nails and hinges at the village fair, proud of his craftsmanship. Now, those happy scenes felt a world away. Lily, he whispered, throat tightening. A lifetime's worth of memories warred with the harsh reality that he would never see her smile again.
Do not dwell,
the dragon interjected.
We must go. You carry her spirit. Remember that. The longer you remain, the greater the chance someone will blame you for what they do not understand.
Cole's breath shuddered. The vow binding Lily's spirit to the urn was as real to him as the hammer swinging at his waist. With one last glance at the crooked rooftops, he slipped onto a narrower side street. The swirling black and blue sheen of his dark vision let him spot a scuttling figure, a neighbor perhaps, darting behind a cart. He waited, still as stone, until the footfalls faded before moving on. Rounding a corner, he nearly collided with a trio of villagers stumbling from the direction of the screams. Their voices trembled with half-caught phrases of
unholy beast
and
dark omens.
Cole dodged behind a battered rain barrel, pressing himself low, mindful of any sound. His heart thundered in his ears. If they saw him now, if they recognized him or wondered why he was skulking about, he wouldn't be able to explain Lily's disappearance without inviting suspicion. Another frantic group passed. He could smell sweat and fear on them. Words like
strange beast
and
demons
hung in the air, fueling the dread that already choked the streets. Every stray echo reminded him how quickly terror spread. Once the murmurs died, he pushed away from the barrel and crept through a gap in the crumbling village wall. He paused at the outskirts, chest tight. Clusters of farmhouses dotted the moonlit fields, but they too lay silent and shadowy. Stepping beyond Ferrowell's boundary felt final, like walking off a cliff into the unknown. Guilt and regret vied with a prickling sense of relief. He was free of prying eyes, but that freedom came at a price. He glanced back at the place he had once called home, recalling the worn cobblestone streets and the gentle hum of daily life. His father's forge had filled the mornings with the ring of metal on metal, and Lily's voice had breathed warmth into every lonely corner. Now, nothing remained for him there but memories and potential condemnation. A faint breeze tugged at his hair, whispering against his ear. He reminded himself that Ms. Rosley had seen him and the empty bed. She might be explaining that to others even now. Already, he pictured them turning fearful eyes his way, painting him as a murderer or a menace.
Keep moving,
The dragon commanded, quiet but insistent.
We cannot linger. Oaksford lies to the east. The rumors of those ashes.
Cole nodded without waiting for the dragon to finish. He was exhausted, but adrenaline still buzzed through his veins, feeding him just enough energy to push forward. Oaksford. He had heard the name whispered by travelers who claimed the plague was far worse there. Maybe that was where he would find answers about the dragon's ashes, and about the unknown slayer who ended the dragon's life in the first place. His mind drifted to the hammered metal of his father's old tool. It bumped lightly against his leg as he walked, each dull tap a reminder of the simple blacksmithing world he had lost. He had loved that world. The steady heat of the forge, the sweat-soaked satisfaction of shaping metal, the sense of belonging with his father and Lily close by. But it was gone now, and something darker had replaced it. He took a final hollow look at Ferrowell's rooftops, cast in deep navy and ebony under his unnatural sight. Then he turned away, forging into the night with the urn clutched close. Tears threatened to blur his vision, but the dragon's voice burned in his mind, holding him to a course he scarcely understood. Step by step, Cole crossed the farmland perimeter and set foot on a winding path that led away from Ferrowell. After all that had transpired, there could be no return. The hush of the fields embraced him, broken only by the staccato beat of his pulse. Soon, the shapes of the village sank behind the rolling land, and he found himself alone in the darkness, guided by black and blue outlines only he could see. He did not know where the path would ultimately lead, only that it was away from the people he might endanger and the home he could no longer face. With each stride, the bond to Ferrowell frayed further, until all that remained was a cold determination to keep going. The dragon nudged his mind, prodding him gently eastward toward Oaksford, where rumors spoke of heavier plague ash and secrets tied to the last dragon's demise. Cole inhaled a shaky breath and tightened his grip on the urn. Lily was gone, but her spirit was with him. He could feel it, even if he couldn't fully comprehend how. The memory of her laughter flickered behind his eyes. It had been only a few hours since he lost her, yet it felt like an eternity. He stepped deeper into the night, letting the darkness guide him wherever it might lead. There was no point in looking back.